Welcome to the Fiscal Axiom. Imagine for a second that your brain chemistry is a bank account. Every feeling of motivation, every spark of joy, every moment of relaxation is a withdrawal. Normally, you earn this currency the hard way, through sleep, through achievement, through good food. But what if you could hack the ATM? What if you could withdraw a week's worth of happiness right now without earning a dime of it? Look, millions of Americans are currently running this experiment. They aren't buying from shady guys in dark alleys anymore. No, they are buying focus and relaxation at gas stations, vape shops, and on the clear web. They treat their biology like a software update, something you can just install to fix a glitch. But here's the thing about finance. There is no such thing as free leverage. And in biology, there is no such thing as a free high. Today, we are auditing the books. We are looking at the ROI, the return on ingestion, of the substances people use to escape reality and the brutal interest rates their brains actually pay. Welcome to the economy of altered states. Let's start with the asset most people mistake for a harmless productivity hack, Kratom. Marketing will tell you it's just a cousin of coffee, right? Just a leaf, a clean boost, the darling of the grindset culture. Programmers and day traders use it to clock 16-hour shifts without feeling pain. And that right there is the key word, pain. See, unlike caffeine, which just blocks tired signals, Kratom contains mitragynine. This chemical doesn't just wake you up, it acts on your mu opioid receptors, the same receptors as morphine. At low doses, it feels like a superpower. Focus sharpens, anxiety vanishes. You feel like the main character in a movie about yourself. It is the ultimate borrowed motivation. But here is the debt cycle. Your brain realizes its receptors are being flooded for free, so it stops producing its own natural painkillers. This is inflation. The stimulation turns into sedation. The focus turns into a fog. And when you try to stop, your body goes into a recession. We're talking physical flu-like symptoms, restless legs, and crushing anxiety. You took a loan to be more productive at work, but the interest rate is your body's ability to feel comfortable in its own skin. Is that a trade you're willing to make? Now, if Kratom is a long-term mortgage, nitrous oxide is a high-frequency trade gone wrong. You know it as laughing gas at the dentist. On the street, it's whippets. It seems harmless because the high lasts literally 30 seconds. It blocks NMDA receptors, creating a sudden, intense dissociation. Sound distorts, the ego dissolves, and you get a massive euphoric rush.
But biologically, this is a short sell. That 30-second high is often paired with hypoxia. You are essentially strangling your brain for a punchline. But the real crash happens in the nerves. Chronic use creates a catastrophic deficiency in vitamin B12. It strips away the protective coating of your nerves. We are seeing 20-year-olds walking into ERs with permanent numbness, unable to walk, all because they wanted a 30-second loop of giggles. They shorted their nervous system, and the margin call was permanent nerve damage. Then, there's the desperate man's hallucinogen, DXM, found in over-the-counter cough syrup. If you drink the whole bottle, you aren't fixing a cold. You are entering a chemically induced dissociation known as robo-tripping. Why robo? Because at high doses, it shuts down the communication lines between your mind and your body. Movement becomes mechanical. Empathy disappears. People use this not to feel good, but to feel nothing. It is the ultimate recession-proof drug because it costs $10 at a pharmacy. But biologically, you are running your brain's engine without oil. The disconnect from reality comes with severe cognitive sludge. The hangover isn't a headache. It's a week-long inability to form coherent sentences. You didn't just suppress a cough. You suppressed your humanity for 6 hours. But look, those are just the legal options. What happens when we move into the designer chemicals, the darkest gray zones of the law? Leaving the pharmacy aisle, we enter the realm of designer derivatives, specifically 2CB. Think of this as a diversified portfolio. Users describe it as a hedge between the emotional warmth of MDMA and the visuals of LSD.
It promises the best of both worlds. You get the electric body high, you get the rippling visuals, but you ostensibly keep your sanity. It's marketed as controllable. But here's the volatility risk. The dosage curve is not linear, it is exponential. The difference between a fun night out and a terrifying descent into chaos is measured in milligrams, literally grains of sand. If you eyeball the dose, you are gambling with your psyche. You aim for sensory enhancement and accidentally hit psychological breakdown. It's a precision instrument, often handled by people with zero precision. If 2CB is risky, GHB is biologically playing Russian roulette with a semi-automatic. On paper, GHB looks like the perfect asset. It acts on GABA receptors to slow down brain activity while releasing dopamine. The ROI? It feels like alcohol, without the hangover or the bloat. It is liquid confidence.
But GHB has the steepest liquidation point of any drug on this list. The safety margin between an effective dose and a toxic one is razor thin. The difference between having the best night of your life and slipping into a non-responsive coma can be a single teaspoon. If you miscalculate, or if you mix it with even one beer, the system crashes. Respiration slows. You might not wake up. It is high leverage trading in its purest form, with a constant risk of total account bankruptcy. Then, there is the asset that removes the safety brakes entirely, PCP. Originally a surgical anesthetic, now a street drug that separates the mind from the body's warning systems. This is why you hear the urban legends of users having superhuman strength. Look, they don't actually get stronger. Their muscles are the same as yours. But your body has a governor, pain and fear, that prevents you from tearing your tendons. PCP disables that governor. It is a hostile takeover of the nervous system. A user can break their hand punching a wall and keep punching because the signal for damage never reaches the control room. You aren't just high. You are operating the machine with the sensors cut. But what happens when you want the opposite? What if you don't want to feel invincible? You just want to feel okay. What if you turn to the Soviet space program for help? In the 1960s, the Soviets needed their cosmonauts calm enough to handle spaceflight, but sharp enough to dock a ship. Their solution was Phenibut. Today, you can buy this cosmonaut drug on the clear web as a nootropic. The ROI feels incredibly initially. It doesn't get you high, it just deletes the background noise. Social anxiety evaporates. It's the limitless pill for introverts. But here is the hidden clause in the contract. Tolerance builds faster than almost any other substance. Your brain loves Phenibut so much that it immediately stops producing its own GABA. Within days, the same dose stops working. You increase the principal investment just to maintain the baseline. And when you try to cash out, the market crashes. The withdrawal is a nightmare. Instead of calm, you get primal panic. It is a debt that collects interest in pure biological terror. If Phenibut is a calm bond, Salvia Divinorum is a glitch in the simulation. You can buy this plant at a smoke shop. Teenagers think it's a legal weed alternative. They are wrong. Salvia is not a fun psychedelic. It hits the kappa opioid receptors. The trip lasts only 5 minutes. But in that time, the concept of time is deleted. Users don't just hallucinate. They experience a total ontological replacement. Common reports include the sensation of literally becoming an inanimate object. A chair, a page in a book, a wall. You forget you are human. There is no euphoria here. It is the only product on the market where the primary customer review is simply, "I never want to do that again." Then came the era of research chemicals, led by Mephedrone, also known as bath salts, sold online as plant food to bypass laws. It floods the brain with serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine all at once. Imagine the euphoria of MDMA combined with the frantic speed of cocaine. The ROI is immediate. You feel invincible, but the crash is built into the ascent. The euphoria vanishes within an hour, replaced by a desperate, animalistic craving to redose. This creates the fiending cycle. Users will binge for days until their serotonin reserves are completely mined out.
We aren't talking about a hangover. We are talking about deep, suicidal paranoia and heart complications. It turns out, when you overclock the human engine to 300% capacity, the gaskets blow. But even these dangerous stimulants are predictable compared to what happens when we try to counterfeit the classics. This brings us to 25I-NB-OM, or N-bomb. In the unregulated market of the dark web, authenticity is a myth. Dealers sell this on blotter paper as acid. But while LSD is virtually impossible to lethally overdose on, N-bomb is toxic. It binds to receptors with an aggressive, almost violent grip. The trip is jagged, but the real danger is physical. It causes severe vasoconstriction. Blood vessels tighten, blood pressure spikes, seizures strike. People take 2 tabs thinking they are in for a spiritual journey, and instead, they suffer a cardiac event. It is the ultimate counterfeit asset. You pay the price for enlightenment, but you receive a medical emergency. However, not all biological hacks are for recreation. Some are a desperate attempt at restructuring. Enter Ibogaine. Derived from an African root, this is the only asset on this list that people take specifically to stop taking other assets. It is an addiction interrupter. It is not a fun trip. It is a grueling 36-hour ordeal. Users describe it as a life review, watching a movie of their own trauma and mistakes. It effectively audits your soul. And surprisingly, it works. It can eliminate opioid withdrawal symptoms, but the fee for this reset is high. Ibogaine is cardiotoxic. Without medical supervision, this cure can kill you. It is a full system reboot, but there is a chance the computer won't turn back on. Finally, we arrive at the absolute ceiling of human experience. 5-MeO-DMT. The toad. This is not a drug. It is an ontological nuclear weapon. Smoked from the venom of a desert toad, the experience lasts only 15 minutes. But it doesn't just alter your reality, it erases you. This is ego death in its most literal sense. Your name, your memories, your body, all deleted. You are experiencing the raw energy of existence without the filter of a human brain, merging with the infinite. But biologically, this is terrifying. The brain is not designed to run without an operating system. You are visiting the source code of the universe, but you aren't allowed to bring anything back except the memory that you don't really exist. So, here is the final audit. We live in an era where we can chemically engineer almost any feeling. We can borrow focus. We can leverage happiness. We can short sell anxiety. But the laws of neuroeconomics are absolute. Every peak has a valley. Every loan has interest. You can hack the hardware, but you cannot cheat the system forever. Eventually, the debt must be paid. The question isn't whether you can handle the high. The question is, can you afford the crash? Invest wisely. This is the fiscal axiom.